Hi, this is Vicki with Crafting for Fun. Today I want to show you a quick and easy card that you can make that's super cute and economical. It would work great for those last minute summer get-togethers or for a child's birthday party for invitations or thank yous. It is a popsicle card, and it looks like it's been dipped in chocolate and that the popsicle is melting, or that the chocolate coating is melting. It has a little ribbon tie here that helps hold the card together, and its top opening. And it fits in a standard 3.5 by 6.5 inch household envelope. So let me gather my supplies and I'll show you how to make this card. To create today's project, you'll need the following items. You'll need a piece of cardstock for your base card that measures 2 3/4 by 8 inches long and has been scored at 4 inches in the center. This piece is Melon Mambo in color. You'll also need a piece of dark brown cardstock that is 2 3/4 by 3 inches, and this piece is Early Espresso. And then you'll need a piece of white cardstock to line your card with, and my piece is 3 7/8 by 2 5/8. So it's the same width and length as my card, but I trimmed 1/8 of an inch off of the bottom and 1/8 inch off the side, so I have just a slight border around it. Then you'll also need a regular standard popsicle stick. This is not the wide kind that looks like a tongue depressor. It's just the regular one like you'd get in a normal popsicle. Now you'll need some type of a corner rounder. I'm going to be using my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper, and I'm going to use the 1/2 inch radius, but any corner rounder that you have in any radius would work just fine. And then for this card, I want it to look like the chocolate is actually melting down the popsicle. And I'm going to be using the Martha Stewart Drippy Goo border punch to achieve that effect. This is an awesome border punch. It can be used to look like icicles in the wintertime. It can be used to look like blood or dripping paint or goo or all kinds of things. It's a very, very popular punch. So that's what I'm going to be using. And in addition to that, I'm also going to be using a die. I'm going to use this scalloped circle die, and I'm going to use that to achieve a look of a bite out of my popsicle. Now you could use a scalloped circle punch if you have one of those, but since I'm working with several layers of paper, I decided to use a die instead. And of course I'm going to need my Big Shot machine so that I can run my die through. In addition to that, you'll need scissors, a bone folder, and some adhesive. So let me get set up and I'll show you how to make this card. I'm going to begin constructing my card by preparing my pieces. So I'm going to grab my Drippy Goo punch and the piece of brown cardstock that I told you needed. This is the 3 inch side and this is the 2 3/4 inch side. I'm going to, along this 2 3/4 inch side, I'm going to punch a border. And I'm just going to match up the border and continue on. And that's what I have. I have a piece that has a Drippy Goo edge. So I'm completely finished with that border punch now. I'm going to grab my card base and I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to use a bone folder along the edge just to get a nice tight crease. I'm going to grab my brown piece, and on the back side I'm going to apply some tape so that I can go ahead and stick that Drippy Goo piece down. Now I told you that you needed a piece of white cardstock to create a liner for this card. If you were planning to make invitations for a party or pre-print an inside message, you would do that before you cut this piece. I'm just putting a white piece in there so I can write a note, but you could easily pre-print something on the computer and then cut it down to size. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this to the inside, but before I do that, I want to go ahead and round the corners because I won't have an opportunity to round the corners on this piece after I glue it in place. So I'm going to use my corner chomper, and I'm going to use the 1/2 inch radius, and I'm going to go ahead and round all 4 corners. And then I'm going to apply adhesive just to the very top of this, and we'll come back to the reason for that a little bit later. And I want to go ahead and apply this so that I have about the same amount of border all the way around. I'm going to be rounding all of the corners on the card later on, and so I want to make sure that it's even in there. Okay, so now I'm ready to go ahead and make my bite mark out of my card, and I want it to be up here in this corner. So I'm going to move everything aside and bring in my Big Shot. me back up just a bit so you can see better. There you go. Okay, I'm going to lay my piece of cardstock, or my opened card, and I actually want to lay it face down so that the outside of the card is face down on the platform. And I'm doing that for a reason, because sometimes when you run these Thinlit dies through, you get a little bit of a ghost image or some embossing type effect around the outside. And if I get that, I want it to be where it's going to be less visible. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to bring this closer so you can see, I want to lay my die so that the point that's between two of my scallops is exactly on my center fold line. And I want the same number of scallops to be on both sides. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 scallops on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4 scallops on that side. And I want the points at the bottom of those scallops to be in exactly the same place. And it's easier for me to make that happen if I lay it down on a flat surface. And I'm going to kind of fiddle with it for a bit. And when I have it like I want it, I'm going to actually use a piece of Post-it tape to just hold that down. You could use a regular Post-it note as well. And I'm going to run that through my Big Shot. And I realize that I put my handle on the other side. There we go. I rolled it through and then I rolled it back just to make sure I got a good cut all the way through. Now I'm going to lift up this die and gently pull off that Post-it note. Now if I did this correctly and had my same number of scallops on both sides and lined everything up, when I fold this down, it should make a perfectly symmetrical bite, and I should get you know, the same effect on the front and the back. So I'm happy with this result. So now I'm going to take that corner chomper and I'm going to come back and I'm going to round all of the other corners. So 1, 2, 3. Now this is what I have, and it's a top folding card, and my inside is not completely secured down, and there's a reason for that. Now I'm going to grab my popsicle stick and I'm going to grab some score tape. Now I'm using score tape today for 2 reasons. First of all, it's easy for you to see, and it's easy for me to work with because I can just tear off small pieces without having to use scissors. And I'm going to put a piece on the front and on the back. Now I'm going to grab an envelope. This is a regular standard 3.5 by 6.5 inch household envelope. And this size works well for this card, but I have to be mindful to insert my stick so that I don't exceed the length of the envelope. For example, if I only inserted my stick that far, it wouldn't fit in this envelope. So if I insert it like that, it will fit in the envelope. So I'm going to open my card again. I'm going to peel the liners off. And you can use the lines on your grid mat or your grid paper as well, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4 inches long. And my envelope is 6.5, so I probably don't want to exceed about 6 inches or so. So I'm just putting that inside and pressing it down. And now that liner is completely secured in place. And my card will easily fit in this envelope. So the only thing I have left to do is, if you wanted to add a little more decorative interest to this card, you could use some ribbon. And this is just a little scrap of ribbon, maybe less than 6 inches long, maybe 5 inches or so of ribbon. And then I'm just going to put it here around the stick, and I'm just going to tie a little knot. Whoops. And if you snug that up next to the popsicle, it will actually help hold the card closed, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. Now this ribbon is only printed on one side, so when I have that tail come out, when I do the first part of my knot, I just want to make sure I grab it and flip it over before I pull tight. That way the pretty pattern is showing on both sides. And then I'm going to take my scissors and just trim those at an angle. And you'll see that that holds my card shut. So this is a really quick and easy way to make thank you cards for a child's birthday party or quick and easy invitations for a summer get-together. I hope you enjoyed today's project. If you have any questions, please email me at craftingforfun@gmail.com or check out my blog for other craft ideas. Hope to see you back here soon.